If I'm being really honest, I'm not as fit as I should be, but I am able to walk reasonable distances, cope with moderately challenging terrain, carry a small amount of photography gear. In short, I can do what I need to do the kind of photography that I love. But what if I wasn't? In today's video, I'm out to do some photography, but I also wanted in between those photographic sessions to just spend a bit of time reflecting on the fact that not everybody has the physical capability to do the kind of creative things that they want to do, or maybe that they used to do, and consider how people might cope with that. In fact, even considering how I might have to cope with that at some point in the hopefully distant future. And I'm even going to be touching on the thorny subject of AI. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do, and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Three things recently have got me thinking about this topic of physical capability to do creative things. In my case, that's photography outdoors. And the first thing that's got me thinking about that is something that periodically causes me problems. Those of you that have been watching the channel for quite a while may recall that I have a bit of a back problem. It's an old workplace injury. It flares up from time to time, and it's actually the reason that a few years ago I switched over to the lightweight photography gear that I'm using today. Well, this week I had a flare up. I've had about a week of lower back pain and problems with sciatica, which, if you don't know what that is, it's the pain from the lower back radiates down the legs, and it basically means you can't sit for any length of time, so driving's not very good, you can't walk very far, you can't stand still for very long, you can't bend, twist, lift. Basically anything that you want to do is uncomfortable, so you have to do kind of little bits of everything to try to break things up. But it certainly meant that coming out and doing photography has been out of the question. Fortunately, these flare-ups don't tend to last very long, a few days, a week or so, and they normally go away. And I'm starting to recover now. But because I haven't been able to get out and do anything for a week, I'm kind of really feel the need to come and do something creative, even though I know I'm not perhaps fully fit to do so. And it just got me thinking, I'm lucky. I have this problem, but it goes away normally after a few days or a week. What if it didn't? How would I cope with that? And I just thought that was a subject that's worth exploring. There is a scene over here that I quite like. It's obviously somebody's garden, and there's like a bit of pretty much waste ground in front of me here, and then there's a wire fence going across with a little metal kind of arch-shaped gate, arch-top gate, and then right next to that there's this big tall palm tree, which is all got all the kind of like the shaggy palm fronds hanging down. And then behind that there's more trees. I just kind of feel there's something quite nice about this little tiny gate and this big palm tree that I think might work as an image. Now it's probably going to want to be a telephoto shot. So I'm going to switch over to the 55 to 200. Trying to be careful not to hurt myself in the process. I need to get a little bit more distance. So really importantly, I need to make sure that I fit all of the tree in and have the gate in the bottom of the frame. as I said, I'm not fully recovered from the back problems, and I'm having to be really careful because I'm still suffering some discomfort, and it would be really easy for me to, trigger a further relapse in this if I do something stupid. So I'm being careful, and I've actually just come out in the local village. I'm going to walk around a few different places, but I'm never going to be more than, maybe a 5-10 minute walk from home. So if things do start to play up, I can call a day on it and head for home fairly easily. And not all photography has to involve, challenging terrain, travelling great distances, walking for long distances. You can just do photography in fairly easy to reach places. I'm quite lucky here. I'm in a little village. There's lots of stuff around here, but most places, most people have got a park nearby or something like that. And in fact, I'm going to go and visit a park in the village very shortly. But there are places that you can go that hopefully would give you the option to do photography without necessarily having to have too much physical capability. I'm actually just wondering if there's a wider angle shot here with more of the trees in, because there's like a cluster of these little trees, of these palm trees, with that little gate in there, and maybe some of the other trees in as well. So I'll switch back over to the wider angle lens. There's a telegraph pole off on the left hand side that I want to keep out, but I want to get in the 3 smaller trees, 1 tall tree, and the gate and the bushes and that in the background. The second thing that's got me thinking about this topic of capability to be creative, interestingly, has been memories coming up on Facebook, because what it's been showing me is a lot of stuff that was posted during the pandemic in 2020, when of course we were absolutely confined to home for nearly 3 months. Now, during that time, I did everything I could to continue with creative stuff, creating videos, doing photography, and I experimented with a lot of in-home photography ideas, things like smoke photography and water drop or water droplet photography. I played around with the effects that circular polarizers have on certain kinds of plastic. I played around with soap bubble photography and splash photography, water splash photography. And a lot of those things I had a great deal of fun doing. Now, I still missed not being able to go out, but actually having a creative outlet was tremendously important to me in terms of making up for that, in terms of, I guess, my mental well-being during that time. Being able to still create was really important. Of course, there's some challenges with that as well. You still have to be able to set them up and actually manipulate the scenes as required to get the images. So it's not necessarily that easy, and certainly if you were going to be doing a lot of it, I personally would want a permanent, or at least, semi-permanent setup to make it easy to do. I am in the local park now. It's only a little place. It's only a small village, so you wouldn't expect a large park. But there's actually some really nice little trees in here. Now, you can't really photograph just the trees, sort of as a whole, because the surroundings aren't very good. It's always worth having a little look around, and in particular paying attention to the light. Now, what I've got up here is some like little small growths, obviously where the tree's been pruned back, and then there's a little twig growing out which has got very light coloured leaves on, and those light coloured leaves are actually catching the light, whereas the background is quite dark and in shadow. Helps if you take the lens cap off. Entirely sure about that one. Just next to that one that I've just been shooting, there's another little, even smaller one coming out just to one side of the bit that's been sawn off, and it kind of sits in the crook, and there's some quite nice play of light on the wood as well. So again, worth giving it a go. We've got a little bit of a breeze blowing through here, so I've bumped my ISO up to get a fast exposure time because I don't want the leaves all blurry. I said there were three things that had got me thinking about this topic, and the third one is some debates I've seen recently about people using AI. Now, I don't use AI at all. Well, I'll tell a lie, because I use sort of sharpening and denoise software which has the title AI in it, but I don't use any of the, if you like, creative AI stuff. But I've done a bit of research over the last few weeks based upon some of these debates that I've seen, and some of the people that are creating work with AI are people that I know of. They are artists who have been painting or doing photography or drawing or various other art forms for many years, and they're very, very good at it. But some of them are now in a position where, due to age or disease or age-related disease, they can no longer do the creative things that they used to do, and they've turned to AI as a way of still being able to create. Now, these people are not just typing a few words in, letting the computer generate some kind of image and going, that's a piece of art. No, they're starting with a creative vision. They're thinking about what they want their final piece to look like. Yes, they're using AI to generate the base of it, and then they're going through and they're adding effects and textures and all sorts of other things. I don't know enough about AI to know exactly what they're doing, but they're spending a lot of time, in some cases many hours, on a single piece to create something which is unique and perhaps very different to what the AI generated in the first place. It kind of made me think, if I was left without any other creative outlet, my photography, which is what I do, would I turn to AI as a way to satisfy my creative needs? And I can't, in all honesty, say that I wouldn't. At the moment, I've got no plans to, and I accept the fact that there are certain ethical considerations about the way that AI generates its artwork. In some cases, it's been proven to use other people's work without permission. But I kind of believe that the people that I'm talking about are aware of that fact and are using software that doesn't do that. And they're also not promoting this in any way to fool you. This work is obviously computer generated. It is not going to be mistaken for a photo or for a oil painting. But it's another way that people are being creative, perhaps when they can't do it any other way, and their creativity, which is still up here, is just being delivered in a different way. I don't think I'm going to get into AI anytime soon, but it has made me look at some of the AI generated work out there slightly differently, particularly when I know that the person creating it is a genuine artist who has been working in, you know, perhaps we'll say more conventional art medium for a very long time. There's quite a lot of these red flowers, and the name escapes me. I know the name, but I can't think of it. It'll come to me as soon as I get home, so I'll put it up here. But there's one of them here that's sticking out, and it's sitting basically with just empty space behind it and just like a, you know, sandy floor behind it. So it makes it quite an interesting shape to isolate against that background. Up there in the corner there's a tree, and it's got all these beautiful kind of front leaves and that hanging down. It kind of makes me think of a willow. Maybe it is a willow, I don't know. Obviously there's a building in the background, so it's not the best backdrop to shoot it from, but actually, composed correctly, the building just becomes a blank behind it, so it actually helps to isolate it. I'm just going to shoot a section of it with the shape of the branches and then all those beautiful kind of you know, bits hanging down with the leaves on, which are actually catching the light quite nicely. The tricky bit is avoiding the stuff in the foreground creeping into the scene, so moving further back and using a longer focal length is probably the best way to get it. You know what, I think it's time to head for home and give my back a little rest. I hope you've enjoyed both the photography and the discussion in this video, and hopefully next week I shall be more fully recovered and able to get out and do something a bit different. Thank you very much for watching. Until next week, bye.